Bobby Manning here, live after Celtics practice with a number of takeaways. After Ime Udoka, Peyton Pritchard, Jayson Tatum spoke today. Pritchard, pretty boilerplate, what we've heard throughout the rest of the week, that he broke his nose. Wasn't a huge deal. He's going to wear the mask and he'll be back on Wednesday. So, I'm excited about seeing Pritchard out there and how he can contribute and integrate and find a role on this team with his incredible shooting. One thing I did find interesting, though, Bob Schron threw it back to the comment Pritchard made after injuring his knee last year that he had never gotten hurt in his entire basketball career up to that point. So, another injury that Pritchard has to deal with here, obviously has never worn a mask, and compared it to wearing a football helmet, which I thought was an interesting way to put it. Probably some similarities there. So Pritchard back in a mask on Wednesday. Less clear if Jaylen Brown's going to join the team in New York City. Seemed like he was online to do that over a 10-day period of COVID return, which is what Ime Udoka went through, and sort of compared the two situations earlier in the week. But of course, there's negative tests that need to be achieved. I believe consecutive ones is the COVID protocol, along with those period of days. So no update on Brown today, just about a day or two before the Celtics head out to New York City for that opener. It's not out of the question that he could miss that game, but Horford, not much on him either. I think his timeline actually put the Knicks game out of question, so we'll see if he'll actually be in line for Friday's home opener, which I think is a more realistic expectation for Horford. So Celtics down multiple bodies. Jayson Tatum spoke today as well, and the most interesting thing of the day is the captains on this team. We spoke about it quite a bit on the Garden Report. We actually came up with the idea per se of captains coming into focus here and being a difference between Ime Udoka's reign on this team, which I wrote about over on CLNSmedia.com this week, and Brad Stevens, who obviously didn't have captains after Rajon Rondo. Pretty, what's the best word? Mellow reception among the players so far to the idea of captains. Obviously, Smart came out that day and said captains don't matter. We know what we need to do here, and we all just got to be captains in our own regard, and, we're all adults. We don't really need a captain named. And that's interesting with what ended up happening with Smart over the next couple of weeks. However, that aside, Jaylen Brown largely punted on the idea of being a captain, nominating Al Horford, saying it'd be a great honor and all that kind of stuff, but not necessarily saying, I'd love this, I'll embrace this, I'll do this. And Tatum, today, pretty much agreeing with Smart. In fact, that's the way the question got presented to him. Do you want to be a captain? Our captain's important. Is that something you agree with when Smart says it's not that important? And Tatum pretty much said, I'm not going to change my leadership approach. I'm not going to raise my voice or lower my voice based on whether I'm a captain or not. We're just all going to respect each other and each other's opinions. Pretty even-keeled answer, less of a hands-on one from Tatum, who sounded pretty annoyed at a line of questioning about his leadership, which, in my experience covering this team, hasn't been persistent, hasn't been nagging. It's just kind of an obvious one for the most important player on a team to be facing, especially a year or two into becoming the face of the Celtics here. There's obvious intrigue about what Tatum's leadership style is, how he approaches it, how he's learning to navigate it. And so far, he is, to his credit, repeatedly answered that he's more of a lead-by-example kind of guy, not flashy, and is willing to take criticism as well as levy out criticism in those environments. Today, he said he's willing to hear from the head coach all the way down to two-way guys on this team. So, was some introspection there on how Tatum's going to address leadership this year and continue to do the things he kind of does there. I think his overall point was that I'm not going to be flashy and talkative in front of the media and the cameras, but there's things I'm doing behind the scenes that we can't see here. Still, though, for Ime Udoka to hype up this, I don't want to call it a ploy or just an idea for this team, an assignment of captains, opportunity for two players to embrace that role and really take it head on. not a ton of enthusiasm between Tatum, Brown, and Smart, the pillars of this organization so far. So does Horford ultimately take that on? Does someone surprising on this roster end up taking the claim of captain? And what does it mean ultimately at that point? Is it gone after this response by the players? Those are all interesting things for me as the Celtics try to reshape the culture within their room around largely the same players that have been here the last couple of years at the top. So that was the main theme out of Celtics camp today. Robert Williams, quick injury update on him. We obviously talked about that on the Garden Report after the final preseason game. He practiced today, felt good, going to be ready to go on Wednesday, just as Udoka said. So tendinopathy, even though it does by definition appear to be a nagging condition, something that you have to treat and manage going forward, as Dr. Flynn told me on Twitter of Boston Sports Journal, our medical expert over there. She sees it as something that could nag or become worse, per se, if it has to do with the kneecap. Could end up leading to a broken knee, like Kyrie Irving dealt with in the NBA Finals in 2015. Obviously not a ton of concern out of Boston's medical staff. I asked Ime Udoka after the game whether this was going to be some nagging thing that the Celtics have to manage, whether it's with minutes or time off, and he basically said he hadn't heard from the Celtics medical staff at that point. So there's your practice. Celtics are back at it at noon tomorrow. Stay tuned for CLNS Media, Celtics All Access. Make sure to subscribe to both of those spots and follow my writing, my beat coverage here on CLNS Media throughout the year. I am Bobby Manning. We will see you tomorrow. And for an update on the Jabari Parker situation, some thoughts on where the Celtics go from here in terms of their roster construction going into the year, go check out that video on Celtics All Access as well. See you soon.